The air was thick with anticipation on September 26, 2008, when Paul Gongaware, a key figure at EG Live, sent an email to Randy Phillips, the CEO of EG Live. The subject was Michael Jackson, the king of pop, and the possibility of a comeback tour that would redefine the music industry. Gongaware's email was a harbinger of what would unfold a series of events that would culminate in tragedy. He wrote, "Net to Mikey, 132 million. But the numbers were just the beginning." The email went on to outline a grand vision: 30 shows at the O2 in London, followed by tours across Europe, America, and Australia. The gross revenue was predicted to be $500 million, a figure that seemed almost fantastical. But Gongaware knew that Jackson, with his outsized ego and financial troubles, would be swayed by the grandeur of these numbers. The email was a strategic play, designed to capture Jackson's imagination and secure his commitment. Michael Jackson was a man at a crossroads. His career, once the epitome of success, had been marred by allegations, scandals, and financial woes. The idea of a comeback tour was not just a professional opportunity, it was a lifeline. Jackson's financial situation was dire, and the promise of earning over $100 million was too tempting to ignore. However, the reality was far more complex. Jackson was a complex individual, known for his eccentric behavior, his struggles with substance abuse, and his tendency to change his mind frequently. EG Live, aware of these challenges, approached the project with a mix of excitement and caution. By January 2009, the initial excitement had given way to the hard work of contract negotiations. Gongaware sent an email to David Campbell and Jessica Caravos, indicating that they were nearing the final draft of the contract. Despite the progress, there were underlying concerns. Gongaware knew that Jackson was unreliable, and that the singer's mental and physical health were questionable. He wrote, "Although it's not going as fast as we would all like, the idea is to get it done any way we can." The urgency in his words was palpable. AG Live was walking a tightrope, balancing the need to secure Jackson's commitment with the knowledge that he might back out at any moment. On January 26, 2009, Michael Jackson signed a document for 31 shows, but he was still under the impression that he was only committing to 10. This discrepancy was a clear indication of the miscommunication and the strategic manipulations that were taking place. AG Live was eager to lock Jackson into a more ambitious schedule, while Jackson himself was struggling with the reality of what he had agreed to. The discrepancy would only add to the stress and pressure that Jackson would face in the coming months. As the preparations for the press conference in London began, Gongaware's concerns grew. He knew that Jackson's reputation in the media was tarnished, and there was a risk that the singer might not even show up. In an email to Randy Phillips, Gongaware wrote, "We cannot be forced into stopping this, which MJ will try to do because he's lazy and constantly changes his mind to fit his immediate wants." The language was blunt, reflecting the frustration and the high stakes involved. AG Live was invested in the tour, and failure was not an option. The pressure on Jackson was mounting, and his behavior was becoming increasingly erratic. In March 2009, Gongaware sent an email to his assistant, Kelly DiStefano, with instructions to adjust the concert schedule to make it appear less overwhelming to Jackson. He wrote, "Fix the sizing for May. Change the color for the actual shows to something like the first one you used, like a light tan or something. I don't want the shows to stand out so much when Michael looks at it. Less contrast between work and off." The manipulation was subtle but significant, designed to keep Jackson from feeling overwhelmed and potentially backing out of the deal. The makeup artist Karen Fay offered a poignant insight into Jackson's state of mind. In her testimony at the trial after Jackson's death, she described Jackson's pattern of behavior, noting that he would use people to finance his life and then move on when he couldn't meet his obligations. She observed that Jackson was physically deteriorating, and that he was paralyzed by fear. Fay suggested that therapy might help Jackson succeed, but the deeper issues remained unaddressed. The tour was a gamble, and the stakes were high for everyone involved. Despite the concerns, the concert schedule had dramatically increased from 10 to 50 shows. Rehearsals had yet to begin, but the pressure was already suffocating. Jackson was facing a workload that was unprecedented, and there were serious doubts about whether he could physically and mentally handle it. EG Live, however, was determined to push forward. The financial potential of the tour was too significant to ignore, and the company was willing to take risks to ensure its success. One of the most critical decisions made during this period was the hiring of Dr. Conrad Murray as Jackson's personal physician. Jackson had specifically requested Murray, and AEG Live, despite their reservations, acquiesced. Murray's background was questionable, and a simple background check would have revealed his past legal troubles and financial issues. However, AEG Live relied on Jackson's recommendation, a decision that would have devastating consequences. Gongaware's initial phone call to Murray was a turning point. Despite having no background information, Gongaware asked Murray how much he wanted to be paid. Murray initially demanded $5 million, citing the need to close his clinics and lay off staff. Gongaware rejected this demand, and after a brief negotiation, Murray agreed to $150,000 a month. The offer came directly from Jackson, and Murray accepted without further hesitation. The deal was sealed, and Murray was officially on board as Jackson's personal physician. The relationship between Jackson and Murray was complex and troubling. Jackson had a long history of substance abuse, and Murray's role was to manage his health and ensure he was fit to perform. However, it soon became apparent that Murray was not the solution but part of the problem. In May 2009, Jackson received multiple injections of Demerol and latanoprost at Dr. Klein's clinic, raising concerns about his dependency on drugs. Murray, who was supposed to wean Jackson off his medications, was instead enabling his addiction. On May 10, 2009, Murray visited Jackson at his Carrollwood home and made a chilling audio recording of the singer. The recording captured Jackson's voice, slurred and barely coherent, a stark contrast to the vibrant performer the world knew. The recording was a disturbing glimpse into Jackson's state of mind and the depth of his dependency on drugs. It was a warning sign that was tragically ignored. The final months leading up to the tour were marked by increasing tension and concern. Jackson's health continued to deteriorate, and the pressure of the upcoming shows took a toll on his mental and physical well-being. AEG Live, driven by the potential financial windfall, pushed forward, ignoring the red flags. The tour was a high-stakes gamble, and the cost was Michael Jackson's life. Michael Jackson's death on June 25, 2009, sent shockwaves around the world. The dream of a comeback tour was shattered, and the questions surrounding his death raised more questions than answers. The role of AEG Live and Dr. Conrad Murray in the events leading up to Jackson's death would be the subject of intense scrutiny and legal battles. In the end, the story of Michael Jackson's final days is a cautionary tale about the dangers of ambition, the consequences of ignoring warning signs, and the tragic cost of pursuing a dream at any cost. The legacy of the King of Pop is a complex and often painful one, but it serves as a reminder of the importance of putting the well-being of individuals above all else.